Hello, humans, and welcome to another episode of Gen X Gamer. I believe that this is the most effective piece of content that Alyssa Mercante has ever created. Guys, I may not agree with Alyssa Mercante on a lot of things, right? But I'm not going to sit here and lie to you just because of a political bias or I don't like her content or I don't like her articles. No, right? I'm here to tell you what you need to know, not what you want to hear. And don't think that, I'm like a big Alyssa Mercante fan. She blocked me. I'm not sure if it's because I'm friendly with Smash AT or because, from the Amico days or because I said that she was a fake Latina because she changed her name, right, into a Latin sounding name even though she's not Latin. Potentially taking away opportunities for minorities, right? That was just my own personal point of view. But that kind of criticism is very mild compared to what she presents on this video and the type of criticism that she has gotten. Now, I need you to take your YouTube hat out of the way. Okay? This video is not made for you. This video, trust me, is not made for the general public. This video right here, the reason it's so good is because I don't know who's been assessing her and I don't know who wrote the script. But I would imagine that her lawyers approved it and somebody behind the scenes assessed her on how to make this video. Because if you're working on risk assessment, this lays out the case why advertisers should not advertise on certain channels. That's what this does. And if you don't think this is a thing, it is a thing. Right? People pay money for this. Right? I'm not advertising my services or anything, guys. I'm not doing that. I'm just talking to you right now because I just had to do a mitigation report for a manufacturing company and I just want to talk about something else. I want to put my 5th grade education my 5th grade reviews and my ESL language and dust off the old college degree just to tell you my business point of view on this. I'm not going to play any of this video because a lot of this stuff that's being said is pretty vile. I don't want to get the video taken down, and I want you to hear what I have to tell you. Now, a lot of people that watch me are YouTubers, right? And they have different goals in mind, right? This video doesn't particularly, even though he shows up the most, doesn't particularly hurt Smash JT because of his business model, okay? Again, I'm trying to be as objective as I can, right? Because his business model has to do with support from his audience, right? It's not so much advertising driven. You guys can, people that like him, support him, people that don't say it's a grift. Regardless, it doesn't matter. The only opinions here that I'm going to talk to you about this subject, the only ones that count are the ones that are backed up by cash, right? Opinions are just air until somebody puts money to them. And in the court of public opinion, in the court of YouTube, right, Smash JT's content has gathered support. Now, some people hate him for it. Some people, you could tell, are clearly jealous. They're called grifters now, right? But he's making content that the public is craving for whatever reason, and they're rewarding him with cash. That's just the free market. That's what it is. Sometimes and the same thing for Hassan. Look at Hassan. You may not agree with him. He's making a ton of money, right? It's whatever survives in the market, right? You find your audience and you do that. But his business model does not rely on advertising. If you want to be a content creator that relies on big advertising dollars, and then you appear on this video, let me tell you, it is not good for you. That's not a good day, because you know who's on the other side watching this video? You know who this video is going to get sent to? Because this has been their claim from the beginning. Remember, Target their funding? There you go. That's what this video does very effectively. And let me tell you why. If a client hires me, right, if I'm working for a company and they said, okay, you got to do some social media risk assessment, right? And I'm looking, for example, here. This, I think, is the channel that's mostly effective, because what this video does very well is lumps everybody together. Again, guys, Don't think of it like you're thinking about somebody that's familiar with YouTube. No, think of it as a middle-aged person that works for a corporation. They're just sitting on a desk, and somebody plops this right in front of them. What are they looking at? They're looking at a young lady complaining of harassment. They don't know her from a hole in the wall, right? They don't know what she's done in the past, whatever. It doesn't matter. In their point of view, it doesn't matter what she's done in the past. Does she deserve what they're watching on the screen? That's the judgment call. Number one. Number two, who's doing it? I don't care what she's saying, right? If I'm doing the risk assessment, I'm not listening to what she's saying. I don't care what her opinion is. What I'm listening to is what's coming out of the mouth of the YouTubers. And this, right? If I was doing risk assessment, for example, for side scrollers, and I took a look at his business model, which is quite different from Smashed AT's, it may appear to be the same, but it's not. Side scrollers has different revenue streams. They have their website, they have this podcast, and they have the award show. Okay? These are revenue streams that can be affected by a PR war. And again, you guys need to take the YouTube brain out, because what you're thinking right now, if you're familiar with the story, what you're thinking is, well, she has a weak case, right? She's a public figure. She's due to criticism, right? And it's very hard to prove malice in court and all this stuff. Everything that you've heard from lawyers. Well, that's good for the law, I guess. That's not my avenue of expertise, my area of expertise. But you know what is? Business. And in business, I know that even a weak case can have value in the court of public opinion, especially if there's documented harassment of any type, and you're able to tie everybody into a single knot. Now, everybody's been harassed. I know you're going to say, well, Smashed AT's been harassed. And yeah, but Smashed AT's not out there targeting advertisers, which is what this video is very effective at, okay? Because it reshapes the narrative, right? Her video contains evidence of abuse, right? And it's not necessarily just from one creator, but what it does, it puts a bunch of creators together that are not necessarily the same business model. There's a lot of YouTubers that you're going to see on here, right? They're not interested in getting big brand deals. They're not going to advertise with Coke or Pepsi or anything like that, right? That's not the potential they have, unlike side scrollers, right? Side scrollers, if I'm looking at this from the other side, and let's say that this risk assessment is mandated, because a lot of times they are, guys. The reason these risk assessments are mandated are not because the company itself wants to do them. It's their insurance company that's mandating them, right? Because they don't want to deal with problems down the road, right? And when you're doing risk assessment, I don't care. I'm not looking at your best work. I want to look at the worst of the worst. I want to look at the worst things that you've said. Can those be mitigated, right? So if a smaller channel says something like what Craig said here, the C word, for example, to what would appear to, and I don't know how Alyssa identifies these days. I don't need the thought police behind me, okay? It appears to me that she's a she. Okay, she has a crush on Hassan. Is the last thing I heard. I don't know. I'm not up with you kids, right? But I have free speech. But out of being a gentleman, I treat her as a lady that is being harassed, right? And I'm sitting at the other side of the desk. Imagine me, some 50-year-old something guy that doesn't know anything about YouTube, that his only mission there is to mitigate risk for his client. There is no client that anybody's going to tell that go ahead and forward with this, seeing this online, being him lumped in with the rest of the stuff, saying what he said. I know he might not want to hear it, right? But if I'm doing his risk assessment, I'm saying, bro, like, this just cost us. We could have had a $50,000 contract. Now, instead of getting guaranteed money, we're going to get coupon codes. We're working on commission now instead of straight cash. And you want straight cash, homie. I've told you that before. I'm speaking to the audience in general, by the way, not Craig. And I'm not saying this, I'm not saying this is a big fan of either. I'm trying to be as objective as I can. As a matter of fact, with Craig, my first interactions weren't all that positive. It was all back in the Tommy Tallarico days, right? But after that, his show has grown, right? And he has advertising-friendly employees. For example, Blabs. Blab is advertising gold, let me tell you, right? If somebody were to say to me, could this person be? Yes, absolutely. Harry Potter, whatever she does, fine. Panda Sub 2000, again, he's my friend, but I'm being objective. He creates very brand-friendly content. That will get you paid, my friends. Saying the C word will not. Now, he's stepping away from this type of content, the last I heard. Right? But he needs to clean this up. That's why he's the most effective by this, because he has the most potential for growth by having different revenue streams. The award show, the website, the private club, whatever they have. I'm not into these things. And he has a YouTube channel. So he has a lot more to lose. Now what this video does well, it reframes the narrative as worker retaliation, right? Forced to resign due to targeted harassment. Right? In the eyes of the viewer that doesn't know anything about YouTube, right? The guy that's just doing advertisement. The lady that's just doing advertisement in the back, trying to evaluate this case. The minute you see the C word fly out, the answer is no. And why is that? Because when you're doing these deals or risk assessment, brands, whatever, the brands themselves give you a list of what they don't want. They don't want doxing. They don't want harassment, right? Whatever their terms of hate speech, and they could have a list for you, like we consider the hate speech. We don't want any of this, whatever it may be. If those things are on there, then the answer is no, right? Now, sometimes, don't get me wrong, clients will go against whatever the recommendation is, but they're just paying for the service, whatever. We don't care. Do what you're going to do, right? But again, this video is not made for you. This video is not made to change the hearts of the YouTubers out there. It's not meant to change the hearts of the general public. Okay, this is her team in the background playing chess. Let me tell you, at that, this video is very effective. Okay, that's just my honest business opinion, and I'm trying to be as impartial as I can, right? Being friendly with some of the people here, but I'm not going to sit here and tell you and lie to you and tell you that this video is not effective in what it's trying to do. It is very effective in a business sense for risk assessment, right? If you're targeting advertisers, this video is very effective. Now, if you don't want to grow your channel and, with brands like Coke and whatever, you don't care, right? Doesn't matter. But if you have the potential of growth, maybe this is not the arena you want to play in. If you're disagreeable with a lady, maybe you want to choose your words more carefully, right? And trust me, I'm brutal, right? I am very brutal when it comes to my criticism of, when I'm retaliating against somebody. But I'm never going to get a Pepsi brand, right? Doritos is not going to come to my channel, right? And give me a private deal. That's never going to happen. It's not what this channel is for. But some channels out there have the potential for those kind of brand deals. And one bad word, right? Then, it's gone. That's why as these channels grow into businesses, quality control and risk assessment is very important, guys. Remember that. If your goal is to grow, you got to be careful with your words. All right, humans, I hope I didn't upset you too much, but, this is my honest business opinion on this video. You may not like what she says. You may not agree with her opinions, but whoever is assessing her right now, whoever her team is behind this, they know what they're doing. All right, humans, I will catch you on the next one. Take care.